Peace. Peace. Got a little minute, a little free time. So we give it a second for all my brothers to get on here. Give a little bit of health and wellness this morning. I got about an hour and a half, so I got a little bit of time. But it's always good to give a little information for my brothers and sisters can, you know, look at what we eat, what we drink, what we think, but definitely approach our health and wellness seriously as we get older in age. And, I always like to make sure the inside match the outside, you know. So, let me get my eyes on for I can see. Yeah, I think I can see. Peace, everybody. But I like to study different perspectives, and it's a nice piece of wisdom called The Holistic Guide to Wellness. I don't know if anybody ever seen this piece of wisdom, but it's a good piece of wisdom. It also go along with a lot of my other studies like herbology for home study and a lot of other holistic books. So when I take things for myself, I never tell no one to do what I'm doing, but I always try to challenge a person to look at what they eat, what they drink, look at their blood type, all those things, and implement things that's good. So once again, this is just one piece of wisdom that I say it's a good key, and it's good to have dialogue, and talk about things. A lot of times, people that may be spiritual or religious, you may hear the word, you want to see a sermon instead of hearing it. And so a lot of times, eating with working out and all those things go along with, a good type of living per se. But we spoke about type 2 diabetes and those things previously. So I don't want to go back into that specific type of holistic, cleansing, because we spoke about that previously. But I want to talk about, I don't like to say diets, but I'm going to use diets for context. The first diet I will speak on is like I'm sorry, my phone going to keep beeping, so apologies, is a anti-inflammatory diet. But even before I jump into anti-inflammatory diet, a lot of times when we read things and sometimes we take things out of context per se, when we talk about eating to live and a Hebrew diet or a kosher diet, aka kosher diet, the way animals is clean and the way animals are killed in that specific culture. Even in the biblical scriptures, it spoke upon certain animals and things that were, I wouldn't say forbidden per se, I would say wasn't food per se. But I'm not here to tell no one what to do. We're just having dialogue. And I just challenge you, if there's anything that you want to add or change into your life, here are some options and things that you can may already doing. You just may need it, how can I say it, confirmation. Or you just may need it, someone that you can say, hey man, these things I can do and add it with this. And we can, feed off each other, But a lot of things, I tell people, it's a mixture of things. But one, eating a clean diet and cleaning yourself out inside is good. A lot of people talk about this type of fasting and that type of fasting, what's better and what's not, this, that, and the other. It's just like people, religious perspective. When a person coming from a perspective, they're always going to say, what's better than this and what's better than that. And I'm not here to say what's better than this. What I'm here to give you something to compare and contrast to, and you can get what's good for you. That's what wisdom is all about. It's not to be debating or telling no one nothing, because if you know wisdom, if you have wisdom, you can get to where you're trying to get. pretty good. But I don't know if anybody ever heard of a anti-inflammatory diet, where inflammation, is when your body's natural and necessary response to repair injury and fight illness. Your body increases the production of cytokines and white blood cells. I like to call them like the helper T cells, like to help you fight off injury and things like that. You ever heard that when you was in elementary? Which leads to inflammation. Acute inflammation includes symptoms such as swelling, heat, and redness. You see a lot of people ankle swelling and all those things. And then you have chronic inflammation, and that lasts for a long time or years. And it leads to a plethora of other things, autoimmune disorders. But inflammation can occur in any body part, you know. A lot of times in the joints they call arthritis, you know. Also in the digestive tract leads to disease like IBS and ulcerative colitis. Inflammation that affects other parts of the body, organs, etc. Like lupus. Autoimmune disease is a major inflammation. These is just things that we should know. It's other factors that lead to inflammation, like your lifestyle, stress, poor eating habits, leaky gut, which I tell a lot of men. A lot of fried foods, and I tell men that's one of the main things, fried foods and meats. If you want to get in shape, and if I was helping you, change your lifestyle, and you want to get in shape, you have to get off meats. I didn't say meats were bad. I hope you listen to the words that I say. But my advice was to tell any man or woman that's trying to lose weight and get in shape to get off meat. A lot of times this leaky gut is a major contributor to inflammation and autoimmune disease, It's a way to learn to manage these things, Consumption of an anti-inflammatory diet is associated with a decreased risk of dementia, different forms of arthritis, all other autoimmune disease, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, fatty liver diseases, all these things. But an anti-inflammatory diet is linked to a longer lifespan. Those with autoimmune disorders and leaky gut syndrome have a decrease in symptoms when following an anti-inflammatory diet because inflammation is linked to autoimmune response. That's why we should be able to have these studies and these sit downs and be able to share these. That's why a lot of times it's helpful to explore an elimination diet in order to identify your individual triggers. Some people triggers might be dairy. For many, gluten is a trigger. As a result, the best anti-inflammatory diet is also gluten-free. A lot of time when you do research shows that people who follow vegetarian diets and the Mediterranean diet also experience anti-inflammatory effects. Both of these diets are composed of nutrient-dense, while foods and rely on foods high in antioxidants. That should be a key for brothers and sisters. Anti-inflammatory foods that are considered anti-inflammatory include foods that are high in antioxidants because they neutralize free radicals in the body that cause mutations leading to cell damage. Antioxidants can decrease inflammatory markers such as TNF, alpha, CRP, and IL-6. Regular consuming the following foods help fight chronic inflammation. Like in these, try to consume these in every meal. Vegetables like kale, Brussels sprouts, bell peppers, broccoli. And I know people be saying, Dr. CB said broccoli this and that and other. I'm not here to argue with what nobody said. That's not my mission. Cabbage, wild greens, fruits, berries, grapes, cherries, healthy fats, avocado, nuts, salmon, sardines, olives, oil, avocado oil, spices, turmeric, cinnamon, oregano, green tea, dark chocolate occasionally. I would say cocoa, natural organic cocoa. Bell peppers are loaded with antioxidants antioxidants, excuse me. Specifically, bell peppers contain a form of quercetic or quercetin, which has been shown to decrease the risk of developed diabetes. Dark chocolate is packed with flavonoids, which help fight inflammation and protect your heart. Cherries contain the catechins, which increase inflammatory markers, CRP. Green tea consumption is associated with a decreased risk of develop obesity, diets, heart disease. That's why a lot of ancients they drink tea. They drink tea. Like the first thing I do in the morning, I drink tea. I may have a warm glass of water, you know. But then we eat at a certain time. Yeah, but a green tea consumption is associated with a decreased risk of developing obesity, diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's. Turmeric is a strong anti-inflammatory, often used for arthritis and diabetes. All these things goes in my concoction of my RTs that we, provide. At Herbs of My Teas. And we show you how to make your own concoctions. Healthy fats are important to consume to fight inflammation. When choosing oils, choose high quality oils that have a high smoke point. Low quality oils with smoke points are heated during processing, which make them turn rancid. This rancidity causes oxidation of the oil, which can lead to free radicals in the body. Consume plenty of healthy fats, including anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids. Of course, you can have fermented foods recommended to lower inflammation. Foods like sauerkraut, but they don't get it in the can. Kimchi, beet kvass, unsweetened yogurt. It should be consumed by those who can tolerate those dairy products. If you can't tolerate it, don't deal with it. These foods provide microbiome with essential probiotics that support gut health and immune function. Fermented foods also help with leaky gut, intestinal permeability. Rotate the fermented foods you choose to benefit from. So, your choice. I like bone broth. That's one of my go-tos. It's bone broth. That's like, it's been one of my go-tos for the last few months. I've been off all meat, what's this? Six months. But bone broth is highly valuable. It's a good addition to anti-inflammatory diet. Superfood contains beneficial nutrients like collagen, glycine, calcium, all these other good things. Bone broth has anti-inflammatory, antioxidant benefits. Bone broth may help with joint pain, inflammation, because it's a source of glycosamine and chondroitin. Arthritis disease like RA, osteoporosis, all those things is beneficial. Bone broth is an asset for those seeking to support bone health. It contains nutrients like calcium. Bone broth is also full of prebiotic nutrition that can supply a healthy microbiome. Try drinking a cup of bone broth daily to lower inflammation and support overall health. Those are good things to do for your body. And if you want to make your own bone broth, you can. It's not hard. You can go to the store and buy your own bone broth. But if you have access to things, you want to, always make your own concoction, you can. You can take your own bone broth. Make it. You would need 2 to 3 pounds of organic bone animals, beef, chicken, turkey, lamb, salmon, whatever. An onion, cloves of garlic, 1 gallon of water, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, salt and pepper for your taste, all the herbs of your choice. Here I didn't say this and that, I said of your choice. Some grape herbs, some that I like are oregano or rosemary, thyme, sage. I like ginger. I like putting all different types of cayenne pepper. I like putting up a plethora of things in mine. You can put the bay leaf, chopped celery, carrots, ginger, parsley, citrus rings. You know, you can put the bone broth and vegetables into a large pot, slow cooker. You know, you put your water over it, cover it, do your thing, add the vinegar and bring it to a boil over the heat. You know how to do it. I mean, it ain't hard. You can put your peppers, all your spices, all your choice, all that good stuff. Another key I always say is stay hydrated. Along with a diet rich in foods, you know, make sure you drink plenty of water every day. You will hear people talk about, oh, they don't drink water and this and that and the other. And I say, well, man, hey, that's fine. That's fine. But stay hydrated. That's what I can say. People be like, well, all the water this bad. Oh, Dr. CB said this. Okay. Well, I'm telling you just to stay hydrated. How about that? Can we agree on staying hydrated? I hope we can. I hope we understand being hydrated. Because dehydration can worsen inflammatory conditions, resulting in more pain and inflammation in the body. It can trigger or worsen inflammation. Also, the autoimmune conditions. That's why I tell most people you need to stay hydrated at all times. You know? Avoid foods like, well, I won't call them foods. Because it's not food. It goes to waste. Like cakes, pastries, candy, cookies, ice cream, processed meat, hot dogs, deli meat, sausage, processed snacks, foods, crackers, chips, pretzels. When you start to love yourself more, you start figuring out other ways to enjoy things. I'm telling you, especially if your stomach is big and brothers think just taking medicine and eating the same and drinking the same, it's okay, and it's not. You know, you got to get rid of them fried foods. You know, sugary beverages, juice, candy, refined carbohydrates. It's just some things you got to eliminate. I tell a lot of people to find your trigger food. You know, find your trigger food. It's tests that you can do. If you love yourself, we dress ourselves up on the outside, but sometimes, what about how we live our life and how much do we spend taking care of ourselves? Because it makes a difference in your life and in your livelihood. When we talk about a elimination diet, an elimination diet is an eating plan that identifies food intolerances or sensitivities. These occur when a person experiences adverse reactions to commonly tolerated foods. Food intolerances are estimated to affect up to 20% of the population. But typically, an elimination diet begins with a 28-day period of removing all potentially triggering or culprit foods. These include processed foods, eggs, gluten, dairy, caffeine, sugar, soy, corn, peanuts, tree nuts, citrus fruits, everything, vegetables, certain processed meats, shellfish, hydrogenated fats, flavor enhancers, artificial food coloring, nitrate and nitrites, and preservatives. All that need to be eliminated. Food intolerance and sensitivities are often confused with food allergies. They're not the same. Food allergies are related to IgE antibodies, whereas food intolerances and sensitivities are related to G with the small g and the capital G antibodies. You know, they can be serious and sometimes fatal. In contrast to food intolerance or sensitivities are related to lowercase g, capital G antibodies, which have a delayed response. So symptoms of the food intolerance and sensitivities are numerous and vary widely from person to person. They include, you have gassy, aches and pains and all that. While the elimination diet is challenging and requires a tremendous amount of willpower, which all things does, that's good for you. It's a number of health benefits, It reduces symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome, improves symptoms of leaky gut, reduces symptoms of skin condition, dermatitis, eczema, improved symptom of ADHD. And see, when I be telling a lot of, and see, and this is something that I always tell because I deal in the field of dealing with kids, foster care with, so-called learning disabilities. And it's just like when you go to the hospital, look at the food that they give patients. All that stuff that they give them is no good. And so when I see the diets, and it's no disrespect to no one, I don't even have to name facilities because every facility that I worked at or that I patronize doing contract work or working for those companies, they feed them all the same thing. What? Trash. And so when you feed those kids all that trash, that's waste. What do you think is going to happen with their attention span? What do you think? What is going to be triggers? It's most of them are out of shape, real big. I'm telling you what I know is, and so the diet must change, especially for those kids that may be, when they say ADHD, a certain balance, certain foods definitely shouldn't be given. But it reduces symptoms of ADHD, reduces the frequency of migraines, improves symptoms associated with rheumatoid arthritis and other disorders. While the diet doesn't involve any caloric restrictions, due to the elimination of many unhealthy foods. People often lose weight during the process, and that's what you want to do. When you see people and they say, "Oh man, well I'm older now, that's why I done picked up all this weight." No, you picked up all that weight because the things that you choose to eat and the things that you choose not to do. That's all it is, and things can be reversed. It's important to note that the diet is complicated, and anyone suffering from any eating disorder, such as anorexia or any other thing, food restrictions may provoke or aggravate the serious life-threatening disorders. So that's why I always tell people always consult with the proper help or proper physician for what advice. But the elimination diet consists of two phases: the elimination phase and the reintroduction phase. In order to effectively identify symptoms, clinicians usually recommend keeping a food journal throughout your diet. And this is what I tell people: make a food journal, just like anything else with your life. Documenting everything you eat and the symptoms you experience afterwards. Like right now, in the misnomered black culture, you hear when they eat, they get what? Itis. That's not a good thing. When you eat, you get so-called itis, and you want to fall asleep and do all that. A lot of foods that a lot of people eat now, which is passed down as tradition, they ate it, and our so-called ancestors ate it for that time because they had to. A lot of that stuff is not food. But who am I? Even food today, when we look at chickens and things, those are not. It just, we can say, have things been grafted and put together per se? Yes, it's been happening for a long time. But that's a whole nother story. And journal what you eat. Like I said, and you usually want to try to do it for at least 28. I say if it's 30 days in a month, 31. If it's 28, try it. And it's just cleansing yourself out. I've heard people that get on TV and things, and we don't have to say names, and they say they sustain from everything from 30 days from water and food for 30 days. And I say, man, hey, I'm not finna argue with nobody. If you did, Islam, whatever. But it usually takes 28 days long. And it is the most demanding part of a diet, as it requires considerable planning and discipline. During this phase, you must remove all corporate foods from your diet without any exception. That means carefully preparing meals, reading food labels, and ensuring prepared foods don't contain hidden triggers like additives and preservatives. This makes eating out especially difficult when people say they go out. That's why you can't go out. Perhaps the most challenging aspect is that you do consume a food culprit. The diet must be restarted. The phase of your diet should consist mostly of whole and unprocessed food. See, I don't have a problem with my religious brothers fasting, but your life should become a fast. You know, when people say, have you read Elijah Muhammad book, Eat to Live? Yeah, it's a kosher diet. I mean, it's just what it is. It's a kosher diet. That's what it is. You know, the following foods are suggested. Most fruits, excluding citrus fruits, vegetables. Most vegetables, excluding nightshades, gluten-free grains, you know, buckwheat, and others. Certain meats and fish, organic beef, turkey, lamb, wild game, and cold water fish like salmon, dairy substitutes, unsweetened coconut, and almond milk, but I don't deal with the almond milk, without preservatives or additives, fats, cold pressed olive oil, flaxseed oil, coconut oil, beverages like water and herbal teas, spices, condiments, and others, black pepper, fresh herbs, and spices, including cayenne pepper, paprika, and apple cider vinegar. You know, all those things is not bad for you. And during the elimination phase, it's most important to eat foods that provide the same nutrients as those that you are avoiding. Remember, in order to prevent nutritional deficiencies. When I tell people, when you remove something, you have to replace it with something good. That's how when I tutor the kids, and they say, man, Mr. Goodman, babe, the reason why we love you, because you just don't tell us we bad. You see the good in us and bring it out. I said, who told you was bad? I never told you was bad. Well, they be telling me, I said, well, you dealing with me, ain't nothing about you bad. You just have to know who you are. And when kids know who they are at a young age, they become everything they want to be. See, these is keys, what I know. You have to have the right person, the right individual to touch a person, especially a young child or anybody at that tender age. And then life change. But you have to be willing to do the work. But after 28 days, you can initiate the second phase of the diet. And if you're still experiencing symptoms of food sensitivity, it's recommended that you remain on the phase of the diet for additional 2 weeks. For your symptoms can go, AKA people, I say cravings per se. You hear them people, oh, I got a craving for this. No, you don't. No, you don't. But each food should be reintroduced to the diet one at a time, eating it a few times a day over a 2-day period, often once or maybe one a day is enough. Then waiting 24 hours before introducing the next food. So all these things can be done, man. You know, I don't want to stay into the diet, but we can talk about those things, you know, because there's certain things that you can do. I don't recommend nobody what to do. I give things for educational purposes only, because it's not one way. You know? Like examples of breakfast you can have, I'll give you like from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I just give you an example. Breakfast can be a berry coconut smoothie. I had one earlier. Lunch can be chickpea and veggie salad. Snack can be a pear with almond butter, herbal tea. Dinner can be grilled salmon with cauliflower rice. That can be a meal. I'm just giving an example. The next day you can have chai seed blueberry pudding, whatever. Vegan lettuce wrap, garlic hummus with cucumber slices, herbal tea, that's your snack. Dinner, chickpea, a chickpea bowl, you know, quinoa bowl, whatever. So I'm saying each day you can clean your appetite up or clean up what you eat. The next day your breakfast can be lemon berry, energy balls. My Empress be making these peanut butter raspberry and raisin balls. She make them, they be real good. You can have a squash soup for lunch. That's so good. I make those. A snack, you can have nut mix, cashews, almond, pumpkin seed, along with your herbal tea. You see, herbal tea is every day. Grilled lamb for dinner, lamb chops with thyme and baked sweet potato. You get it. Breakfast the next day, you can have ginger beet juice. Lunch, cucumber and avocado salad. A snack, fruit cup, blueberry, sliced bananas, melon, kiwi, herbal tea. For dinner, chickpea and a quinoa bowl or quinoa bowl. I might be pronouncing it wrong. My Empress be cracking up. But y'all get what I'm saying. For Wednesday, you can have a lemon berry, energy balls. Those are delicious. Oh, I told you the squash. Oh, I gave you all that. Nut mix, cashews, almond, pumpkin seeds with your tea. braised beef with fennel for dinner. I mean, all these different ways. And we go over that. You know, and me and my brothers, my muftis, we go over these things. Our herbalist, Moso Gregory L, that provide all our herbs for our teas at Mayat Sun Teas and Herbs for Mayat. We just make our own concoctions. But you can make your berry coconut smoothie, and I'll show you how to make all that. I have no problem. I can show you how to make a chickpea and veggie salad. I show you how to make all these things. I put together a cookbook, a vegan snack book, all this years ago. I got some new dishes coming out, but it's very easy to make. A chai seed blueberry pudding is delicious. Vegan lettuce wrap, grilled lamb chops with thyme and baked sweet potato. I can show you how to make all that. The ginger beet juice, everything that I'm talking about, I know how to make. You know? And we can sit down, we can go over all this stuff. Like somebody said, the pancakes you eat. And I was like, well, those are banana buckwheat pancakes. If you ever tried buckwheat flour, mashed ripe bananas, coconut oil, ground cinnamon, ground flaxseed, apple cider vinegar, baking soda, and salt. I'm telling you, it's so much. You can make a sweet potato skins with guacamole. I'm talking about the squash soup is so good. I'm telling you, man, and all these things, when you replace, you add different things and color and different seasons and textures and things. It's just beautiful. I'm talking about a vegan cabbage soup. It's just delicious. But anyway, I'm getting hungry. And I got to train in at noon. And I'm talking about all this good food. But another good one that I, made previously, but like I said, I don't do too much meat anymore, is a slow cooker, the Moroccan spiced turkey stew. Ground cumin, ground cinnamon, ground olive oil, yellow onions, minced fresh ginger, turkey stock, chopped peeled sweet potatoes, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, it's good. But and the last type of diet, or how can I say, oh, no, that's not the last one. I got two more. Okay. And so the next one is intermediate fasting. And that's like one of the ones that I love. I choose that one for myself a lot, But the intermediate fasting, acronym IF, is gaining a lot of traction, because it do have a lot of health benefits. Intermediate fasting refers to any diet where there is a voluntary fasting period, followed by a period of eating freely. With intermediate fasting, you are not told what foods you should eat, but rather when you should eat them. So I don't tell a person, remember what to eat. I tell people what I eat and what I choose to sustain for myself. And when I do my intermediate fasting and when I eat, I chose to eat the foods that I know that I've, how can I say, removed and replaced, And so that's what I've done. Like a lot of people used to drink Gatorades, which have a lot of corn syrup in it and stuff. I replaced it with other things, and I drink certain things a certain time, a time period. I might have a snack, a vegan cookie here or there, X, Y, and Z. But everything is in moderation along with my meals. As I've added those things. As we talked about these different forms of diets and replacement diets and etc. As we talked about. When I say finding what's right for you, But what we do is you restrict from eating. That means there is a daily fast, typically between 16 and 18 hours. Usually, you got to know that you sleep during 8 of those hours, during which no food or drinking with energy are consumed, followed by a period of 6 to 8 hours of eating during the day. For example, you could start by eating lunch at noon and finishing with dinner by 6 p.m. You then fast until lunch the following day. You see? Other type of intermediate fasting options include modified fasting regimens, which include full days in which your total calorie intake significantly decreases to between 500 and 1,000 calories. The 5.2 method of intermediate fasting refers to picking 2 days a week as fasting day 1 and consuming only 500 to 600 calories. During day 2, non-consecutive days of the week and eating normally for the remaining 5 days. So this type of fasting somewhat mimics how our hunter-gatherer, how the ancestors used to do, how they would have eaten. Remember, the ancestors likely didn't have access to food at regular intervals, how we do today. Why? Because they hunted. So when you hunted, that was specific time, and certain meat was specific seasons. The changes we see as a culture in terms of caloric intake and the timing of food consumption is likely leading to obesity. Why? Because the consumption and the free is easy to get access to, and type 2 diabetes. And the switch from utilizing readily available glucose for energy to using stored energy during intermediate fasting is likely built into our biology. So it's a lot of good health benefits to intermediate fasting. You know, especially high rate of success in helping people lose weight and regulate blood sugar, insulin levels, blood pressure, and heart rate, making it beneficial for those with cardiovascular disease. I try to tell all my brothers, they like, well, She, why you look like the weight that you was in high school? I said, brother, because what I eat and what I drink. I'm telling you, you have to do that. We don't have to get to a certain age and say, oh, the body just broke down, because what we choose to do and what we choose not to do. It's a choice. It's the spirit that's working in you. The spirit that's working in you is going to allow you to be a vessel. It's going to allow you to invest in yourself. It's not going to allow you just to put things in you to break you all the way down. I'm telling you. It was previously believed that you can have fully exhaust your glycogen reserve, which could take up to 48 hours of fasting before seeing benefits. However, recent studies show that time-restricted fasting, where you eat within a 6 to 8 hour window, resets the immune system, improve resting heart rate, blood pressure, and insulin resistance, and improve cholesterol and glucose levels. This is why I tell people, you have to educate. Don't let nobody just tell you one thing. Anybody that's telling you one way, then that's not advice. That's just like religion. A Muslim gonna tell you a Muslim way, a Christian gonna tell you a Christian way, a non-believer gonna tell you that. A Moor might come with a crazy perspective that don't understand. But a map of God is gonna give you options, which best for you. Intermediate fasting also reduces markers of oxidative stress and systemic inflammation associated with a lot of diseases like osteosclerosis, cholesterol's resisting heart rate, and markers of other things. You'll start seeing improvement from these symptoms within 2 to 4 weeks of being on an intermediate fasting diet. And I don't like to call nothing diets. I just call it a lifestyle change. Because diet, when people say, or fasting, what, you're going to go back to those things? No, it's a lifestyle change. And when you practice intermediate fasting, your human growth hormone levels significantly increase, which leads to fat loss, lean muscle gain, and improved insulin sensitivity. A lot of Moors and Muslims, they be like, did you know what dry leaf practice or Ramadan and all this? I said, man, I ain't finna be arguing with nobody. I don't care if you're a Muslim or Christian. That means nothing to me. I know what's right for me, because most people, no matter what religion they under, are you living right? Are you eating right? Are you healthy? Is your spirit right? Because if your spirit was right, you wouldn't be beating people with religion. You would be bringing people together and love. You can show them the perspective, what the text says, but in that fashion, it still can be love. Why? Because the heart got to be pure. The energy got to be right. Everything is a choice. That's what the Holy Spirit gives, a choice. A true mapping of God is going to show the way. You know? We didn't practice it. We didn't let. Well, that's what you didn't do. But the Bible talks about a kasher diet. I know who I am. I'm a Moor. I'm under a kasher diet. It's just plain and simple, which lead to fat loss, lean muscle gain, and improved insulin sensitivity. I'm probably the same age as, older. I just turned 48. I still do the same thing. I run all the miles every morning, work out every day. I still train people. It's certain things that you want to do, and it tells. Intermediate fasting also enhances your immune responsibility and your response, and may help and may help you live longer. Intermediate fasting initiates cellular repair process. Because it allows your cells to repair themselves. I remember one day I was lecturing, because a lot of lectures that I do on here on YouTube, because I love to talk to the world, I did on college campus when I was getting my dual master's degree from Grand Canyon University. And I did a teaching on Eat to Live, Elijah Muhammad, and it blew people's mind, because I was like, well, it's just a kasher diet. Everybody thought I was going to come from some perspective, but my professors knew, because we have dialogue. I say, you just don't know the language. It's a kasher diet. And when you break that down, when you break down the linguistics, you have to be like, yes, that's true. I don't care what you call it. I don't care what you call it, and this person call it. It's still a kasher diet. You know? But intermediate fasting may have the same effects on your immune system function as a 3-day complete fasting. Like, I fasted for 3 days, and I drank water, or I just drank a little bit of bone broth because I work out, and if you working out and you don't put nothing in you, I'm telling you, well, I know for myself, I crash. But I did sustain from a lot of things, but I have to have some type of energy in me because I'm burning it. I'm burning and I'm burning. When you burn it, when you're working out a certain way, your body do operate on a certain energy and a certain dopamine going, but it must be replaced. Those just facts. That's why I said there's so much to go with it. But intermediate fasting may have the same effect on the immune function as a 3-day complete fast. Fasting for 3 days reduces the white blood cell counts, which trigger the formation of new white blood cells by the immune system. These cells are an important part of fighting infectious diseases. I call them your helper T cells. Remember I talked about that in elementary school? They talk about the helper T cells that help you fight disease, your autoimmune deficiency. You want to build your immune system up. I didn't say sickness was going to come, but all sickness not death. So you can build your immune system up to a certain fashion to where when sickness come, your immune system is more successful to, it's more, you understand? It has those boxing gloves on. It's in defense mode when these things come and start trying to attack the body. It's a defense, an army there that's going to fight to the death per se, if it's built up, if the immune system is built up in a certain fashion. You see? Intermediate fasting may be a possible priming tool for host defense against serious and potentially life-threatening infectious respiratory infections. Calorie restrictions in the form of intermediate fasting in several clinical settings promote several health benefits, including priming of the immune response. Priming of the immune response, meaning it's getting it ready to where if this happens, it know what to do. Because when this comes into you, it don't recognize it as beneficial. So it's coming. It's going to do what it's due. You see? This dietary restriction also activates autophagy, a cell surveillance system that boosts up immunity. So you almost got a cell surveillance system that boosts up immunity. So once these things go into you, it's stored in a certain place and is used and it's dispersed to boost up your immune system. Intermediate fasting shows huge promise for other disorders. Neurodegenerative disorders, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. Decreased caloric intake improves verbal memory, executive function, cognition, likely due to the improved ability of suppressed inflammation in the brain and increase the stress resistance of neurons. This eating pattern can delay the onset and progression of some neurodegenerative disorders. It is an exciting new era of research. Another benefit of intermediate fasting is increased stress resistance. In our current society, our body systems are constantly dealing with stressors. We face emotional stress, dietary stress, all these things. Our bodies are better able to fight disease and stay healthy when we do this. Almost every chronic disease, including inflammation, intermediate fasting may help fight symptoms and health issues from disease like cancer, diabetes, autoimmune disorders. This is what I'm telling people. The way we eat is the way we live. We have to change it. Remember, Pac said, we got to change the way we eat, change the way we think, then change the way we live. Like I be telling people, man, a lot of stuff happening because it's cleaning stuff out. More science, spirituality on all levels is being cleaned out. We right here because it's nothing wrong with having funds if you do the right thing. We could have been had our infrastructure. It's just going to take the people to support something that's real and say, well, this is what can be done when the heart is pure. This is what can be done. Because we have the finances and the time and the right people. We can do these things. Build a whole infrastructure. But how it works and how to support your intermediate fasting. When I see a lot of kids, like I'm getting ready to go back to my home city, because I always go back to my home city for a couple months out the year, back to Flint, Michigan, and I do a lot of work. And like I tell people, a lot of the ministries that I go to, it be European churches. And I tell people I don't have that story. I got my undergrad from a college called Cleary University, one of the hardest business universities in Michigan. And the main campus is in Howell, Michigan, where the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan stay. These is facts. And so when I be going back home, I'll be telling people, when I be speaking and things, when I be around my European Jewish colleagues and different alumni, they say, well, you just Melchizedek. When I go around lower level European Masons, they know what it is. And I say, I would love to be able to, when I come home and my brothers and sisters seek me out, for I can be going and teaching. They was like, well, I hope it'll happen for you. But right now, continue to spread the wisdom. And that's what I do, hoping that it'll just catch on with my brothers and sisters. Hoping that someone have the connections and things to say, okay, let's use the science, And so I do a lot of community work back in my city of Flint, which I'm going to be doing. But let's finish because we got a little bit more time. The secret behind intermediate fasting is ketosis. When your body is in a state of low caloric intake for 8 to 12 hours, they begin to break down fat for energy rather than rely on food alone. It breaks down the fat for energy, and that fat can turn to muscle when you're using it right. The process of breaking down fat creates molecules called ketones. These ketones regulate metabolic reactions, stress resistance, cognitive functions, and the expression of proteins, molecules in your body. These changes allow us to reap many benefits from this fasting state per se. And when we start this intermediate fasting, especially when I work out with the youth and when I show them how to eat right, when they, like I saw a parent giving their kids, what's those things? Oh, I can't even think of those things. I just saw the commercial. I don't know what to say. Pop-Tarts. And I said, I wouldn't do that. But a lot of times parents, they say they want to go, they don't have time, so they give those kids those things. So we promoting bad eating habits. We promote these things and then talk about it. Oh, cereal is bad and all that, but we give it to our kids. McDonald's and all this is bad, but we give it to our kids. So that means those kids is going to pass down traditionally those same bad habits. That sounds like Big Mama, don't it? That sounds like soul food, don't it? On soul food, when Big Mama died from all that stuff, then they come back every year and eat the same stuff that killed Big Mama. Look at the psychosis of that. We are ingrained to accept the lowest of everything: spirituality, history, education, finances. Especially when it comes to religion, I tell my brothers and sisters, man, Negroes can out-pope the Pope, can out Muhammad, can out Jesus, Yahshua, whatever you want to call it. But when it comes to our health and finances and building the infrastructure, all we can talk about is other people and what all these other people did. But let's do our own thing. It can happen. And use the same laws that everybody else govern to what? to do whatever they say is bad, to do right. I'm right here, man. Like Pac said, we got to change the way we eat, change the way we think, change the way we live, for the work can be done, and let the right ones do it. Starting an intermediate fasting regimen may be difficult at first. I know it was for me, you know, but as you start working out and doing these things, fasting can sometimes lead to electrolyte imbalance or muscle loss, which is why it's key to include good amounts of protein in your diet, as well as supplementing electrolytes. That's a lot of the stuff that I went through. What I like to call it the fasting Buddha. As you start to see things, you will lose weight because you abstaining from some things. So when you abstaining from those things, now you got to learn how to put the right thing in you to build back up. See, everything is a study. And this is what all my Moosties, you can look at all my brothers, we work out, everything we do is a study. We have class every day. We have group classes, Sunday school and adapt class, live, but through the week, we meet every day because it's not nothing we do on the weekends. This is a life. You know? That's why you got to include good amounts of protein in your diet, as well as supplementing electrolytes, especially at the beginning of the intermediate fasting when you start. Say women that's menstruating, whatever. Note the longer fasting, such as 5.2 fasting or modified fasting regimens, may disrupt hormonal messengers that trigger different parts of your monthly cycle, and the longer fasting are not typically recommended. With that being said, time restricting eating cycles can be successful and very useful for menstruating women. How? To help regulate cycles, hormones, and weight. Overall, intermediate fasting is recommended for individuals who are overweight, obese, and that's a lot of our kids. I see it when I go. Listen, man, if anybody looked me up and saw me on the internet, I'm in Arizona. I used to take 100 kids to the Phoenix Suns games on our own organization. When I used to go around and travel, most of the kids was obese. I used to say, what is in your lunchbox? And when you see the stuff that's in these kids' lunchbox, you see why these kids' attention span is nowhere. You see why the aptitude, you see why they can't pay attention. Why? Because what they being sent to school with, as far as what they eating, and then what's for lunch. It's all gonna trigger to what? Bad habits. It's just what it is. And I see it on all levels. Overall, intermediate fasting is recommended for individuals who are overweight, obese, struggling from type 2 diabetes. My brothers, when I talk about type 2 diabetes, I say brothers. Most of my brothers that I know, that's the big guts, type 2 diabetes. And it's a way to reverse these things. Like I said, it's a way. And one, changing what you eat, working out. You got to add all those things into your workout, which is your life. But also type 2 diabetes, those with chronic inflammatory issues, autoimmune disorders, all these neurodegenerative diseases, and cardiovascular problems. The safest to begin with daily time-restricted eating, and then, if needed, expand into a more intense 5.2 fasting state once your body has time to adjust to being in a state of ketosis regularly. But you have to add working out, brothers. That's how your body and your mind is going to change. Your body's going to start to burn. You don't need no Ozempic. I'm right here. This is what I'll be telling brothers. I said, man, come on, man. I'm a living example. I'm not on here just flapping my gums. You got to understand that this style of eating requires you to eat nutrient-dense foods, supplement with electrolytes, and hydrate regularly. That's why you'll see me hydrating consistently. I have my teas, I have my smoothies, I have my waters, my alkaline waters, all those things consistently. Focus on anti-inflammatory whole foods such as fruits, vegetables, protein, nuts, seeds versus processed foods. I can give you an example of a daily time restricted eating meal plan, utilizing a 16-hour fasting period, Watch this. I'll just give you a day. I'll just give you 2 days, maybe 3. So on a Sunday, from 6 to 10 a.m., you can have water or tea of your choice. 10 a.m., a green smoothie, maybe 2 eggs over easy. Half cup of oats with flaxseed berries and walnuts. 1 o'clock, organic chicken breast, veggie wrap, banana with nut butter. 3:30 p.m., hummus, carrot and peppers. 1 or 2 servings of, excuse me, nut-based crackers. 5:30 p.m., 4 to 6 ounce baked lemon salmon. A half cup of quinoa with olive oil and salt. Green peas, 1 cup. 1 cup cooked. At 6 p.m., you can have water or tea. The next day, 6 to 10, water or tea. 10, you'll have a green smoothie. 1 p.m., the next day you have a Mediterranean chicken bowl. 3:30 p.m., you'll have an apple with nut butter. 5:30, ground turkey and black bean burger, patty wrap and lettuce, kale salad. That's what I make all the time. And then at 6 p.m., water or tea. I'm going to give you one more day. Tuesday, water or tea at 6 to 10. At 10 a.m., green smoothie, chai seed pudding topped with berries of your choice and or nut butter. 1 p.m., wild salmon and veggie wrap, coconut yogurt, grain-free granola with bananas. 3:30, hummus, carrot and peppers, 1 or 2 servings of nut-based crackers. 5:30, you can have, this what they want, you can have, I don't eat pork, pulled barbecue pork stuffed sweet potato, 4 to 6 ounce organic meat, 1 cup steamed veggies of your choice, water or tea. And so all these things we can sit down and go over and how to clean your diet up along with working out. It's a must, especially for our children. I see it on all levels. Our diet and what we eat is so important. A lot of stuff is not food. A lot of stuff is not is a lot of processed stuff is not food. And I know we joke a lot. A lot of brothers and sisters joke a lot, but we have to stop feeding our babies ramen noodles. We have to. Ramen noodles must be eliminated. Hot dogs must be eliminated. If you don't know what they are, look at what hot dogs are. Lunch meat, it has to be eliminated. See how this lunch meat, see how all these things are put together. That's all I'm saying. And start really thinking about why a lot of our offsprings and our babies' attention span and certain things are off. Is it from what we feed them? Is it from what we injecting into them willingly ourselves to keep them quiet? Why our children at a younger age, especially our young girls, is growing certain adult parts? Why our young boys is bigger than what they should be? Ketogenic diet. This is my last one. Oh, overall, should I get this? Oh yeah, I got you. But overall, intermediate fasting is recommended for individuals who are overweight, obese, struggling from type 2 diabetes and all that, y'all. You got to know that. You got to know that. But I can show you how to make green smoothies, organic chicken bread. We can do all that good stuff. But this last diet, or how can I say, a lifestyle change of how you have your relationship with food. And a lot of times I tell people what? Your relationship with foods should change. How? And that's when it's fun for your babies. Let me tell you why. Because I know babies, they see the parent or anybody doing it, they repeat. How? You see these so-called kids when they just mocking preachers, and then these adults be act like, oh, he anointed. That ain't anointed. That's mocking. That ain't no anointing. What are we talking about? But whatever. We have to pass down these good eating habits to pass down energy and life, But a lot of people do a keto diet, and I don't tell nobody what to do. But the ketogenic, the KETOGENIC diet refers to a high-fat, low-carb approach to eating. The ketogenic. That diet refers to a high-fat, low-carb approach to eating. It dramatically limits your carbohydrate intake while increasing your fat and protein intake. When most of your calories come from fat, your body is forced to use different energy pathways. Instead of using carbohydrates for energy, the body burns its own fat stores. The body burns its own fat stores as a source of fuel. During this process called ketosis, your liver produces compounds called ketones, a byproduct of fatty acid breakdown. And if you follow the diet strictly, your body will reach ketosis in about 4 days. You will likely even see signs of weight loss in the first week. I'm telling you, I know this for a fact. The diet consists of eating a high amount of fat, a moderate amount of protein, and a very low amount of carbohydrates. The general goal is to swap out carbohydrates for fat. The diet consists of approximately 55% to 60% fat, 30 to 35% protein, and 5 to 10% carbohydrates. The dietary guidelines for Americans roughly suggest a 2,000 calorie per day diet. Based on this recommendation, while on a ketogenic diet, carbohydrate consumption would amount to 20 to 50 grams per day. Considering a medium-sized banana has about 27 grams of carbohydrates. This diet can be quite restrictive. So the health benefits and risk of a ketogenic diet. Research has demonstrated several health benefits from the ketogenic diet. It results in significant weight loss and a reduction of harmful abdominal fat, known to cause serious metabolic problems. This diet lowers blood sugar and insulin levels and reduces blood pressure and the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. This diet can be beneficial for women, especially those struggling with polycystic ovarian syndrome, acronym PCOS. It is beneficial in treating epilepsy, and involving research suggests that this diet may also help treat symptoms of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Despite its many advantages, most research focus on short-term benefits. There is conflicting information regarding its long-term health benefits beyond epilepsy. Research, which is new, shows that diets, both high and low in carbohydrate consumption, are associated with increased mortality. Based on these findings, a ketogenic diet may not be a healthy long-term diet. One major concern is the increased consumption of saturated fats. Saturated fats are found in animal-based foods like beef, pork, poultry, full-fat dairy products, eggs, tropical oils like coconut and palm. Saturated fats are a known risk factor for heart disease and other health complications. Another concern is the development of nutrient deficiencies associated with reduced consumption of nutrient-rich fruits, vegetables, and grains. But additionally, family, a healthy gut microbiome is supported by fiber. Due to the limited grain consumption in a ketogenic diet, the ketogenic diet provides significantly less fiber than other diets. A lack of fiber may reduce the concentration of good bacteria in that gut. But the ketogenic diet is kind of, how can I say, kind of made, or you should want to look into it, especially people with pancreatitis, kidney problems, liver problems, disorders of fat, metabolisms. Ketogenic may overload the organs involved in the processed protein fat. So it's a lot of things that can trigger things when we have bad eating habits. I mean, I've heard athletes talk about the foods they eat and just being shot up with medicine and things, and you see how a lot of people walk and things now, and the body is depleted because what was put in them, affect other body parts. I'm trying to tell you, man, it's it's so much that I can speak on how a lot of stuff. When I talk about medical apartheid, that's a whole nother story. And when I talk about holistic medicine and who changed it and made it for big dollars, it's a same group of family, but that's a whole nother story. You know, whole nother story. But I just wanted to give a couple of diets. The last one I want to talk about is another one that I love. Oh, damn, it's two left. I didn't know it was that many. Well, I'll just give this one. And it's the Mediterranean diet. You know, it got a lot of health benefits. You know, I like the Mediterranean diet. You know, and there's versions of a Mediterranean diet, but it typically consists of plant-based foods, whole grains, vegetables, legumes, fruits, nuts, seeds, herbs, spices, seafood, specifically fish. That's the main source of animal protein. Olive oil is consumed in high quantities and is the main source of fat. Moderate red wine consumption with your meal. I don't eat dairy, but dairy and poultry are always consumed in moderation. The diet doesn't exclude many foods, but emphasize minimal red meat and sugar. Like I said, minimal, but I choose not to deal with it. The diet isn't restrictive, and it doesn't require eliminating certain foods. Calorie counting or portion measurements. Calorie portion measurements, when you say it's portions of things, when a lot of people get this big old steak, no, everything you want in moderations. So portions of things, when you have portions of things, it can be good. Instead, it encourages freely consuming fresh, nutrient-dense, unprocessed foods native to the region. This makes it a popular choice for people who want to enhance their health and longevity without making too many sacrifices. Healthy benefits of the Mediterranean diet include the Mediterranean diet has been linked to a number of health benefits like reduce mortality risk and lower incidence in cardiovascular disease. It reduces the risk of premature death from all causes in both men and women, reduces obesity and type 2 diabetes, reduces strokes by 40% or more in high-risk patients, lower high blood pressure, improves gut health, reduce risk of dementia, cognitive decline, and lower risk of common cancers such as colorectal, breast, and prostate cancer. It also improves mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression. So some people may say how to start. Although there is no strict rules for following the Mediterranean diet, processed foods, added sugars, and refined grains should be restricted. But generally speaking, the diet encourages freely consuming fruits, vegetables, whole grain, legumes, nuts, seeds, seafood, heart healthy fats. Generally, guidelines you can follow to incorporate the principles of the diet, or I say the lifestyle change, into your daily routine include building meals around vegetables, beans, and whole grains, eating fish at least twice a week, using olive oil instead of butter in preparing food, and serving fresh fruit for dessert. For many, eating a Mediterranean diet is more of a lifestyle choice than a diet. I just gave you that. It can be as simple as making a habit of choosing nutrient-dense foods while avoiding processed and sweetened food. And so those are just some good choices, you know. I don't know if you ever heard of a Wales diet or a Wahls diet, WAHLS. A lot of people do that, you know. It's popular for people suffering from autoimmune disease, especially multiple sclerosis. They call it MS. It was developed by Dr. Terry Wahls, a physician who has MS. After becoming wheelchair bound, she researched the role of food and nutrition in MS. She developed the Wahls protocol, a dietary approach aimed to rejuvenate cells and slow the process of MS. She was able to rid herself of most of her debilitating symptoms from MS using this diet. Isn't that inspiring? The Wahls diet consumed principles of the paleo or Paleolithic and elimination diets. It avoids for eating nutrition-dense Okay, now let me stop right there. So I want to reverse because see some a light bulb just went off. I always have these aha moments, these light bulb moments, and I go back to when I used to speak in my holistic classes, my health and wellness classes. Okay, remember when I went back and I said a lot of kids that maybe have attention deficiency ADHD and they just want to give them the medicine and all this, and they don't tell them to change the diet and to seek holistic change the way the foods are eating, and then you'll see a lot of these kids with these ADHD or whatever, but you see the food that they're eating. They're eating a lot of ketchup. They're eating a lot of processed stuff that's triggering certain things. And then you see with the MS, certain foods that was took out the diet and implemented with things that was good for the diet. It maybe helped, you know, feed the cells. A lot of things were able to be reversed. So if that's the case, why don't we take this same approach with our babies? Why don't we take this same approach with our babies? How? Instead of just giving them medicine and throwing them around, why don't we change their diet? Why don't we change what they eat? Why don't we go from that approach first? Because clearly the foods that's being consumed to the babies, it need to be changed. If we can have these, how can I say, testimonies and these doctors that have certain ailments, MS, which deteriorate body function, and then from certain foods that the doctor restrained from and added to her diet, it allowed a lot of the debilitating symptoms from MS to disappear from the diet. And and Wales' diet combines principles from the paleo or the Paleolithic and the elimination diet. It advocates for eating nutrient-dense foods, high in vitamins. That's why I say any kid that got ADHD or any attention deficit or anything, I call them God's gifts. The food that they eat has to be eliminated. They can't be eating no hot-ass Takis. They can't be eating no hot Cheetos. They can't be eating no Pop-Tarts. They can't be eating no cereal. They can't be eating no hot dogs. They can't be eating no McDonald's, fake nuggets. None of that. None of that have to be gone. If you want them to eat chicken nuggets, you have to make chicken nuggets. You have to make with the chicken. If that's going on, if they want condiments, you can't give them the pack. You have to make these natural things. You must get creative. Why? Because it's a must. If we promoting a lifestyle change, it advocates for eating nutrition-dense foods, high in vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and essential fatty acids. The diet consists of eating plenty of vegetables, meat, fish, fresh fruits, while strictly avoiding all processed food. All processed food. It also eliminates any food that might activate the immune system through intolerances and sensitivities. The diet specifically focuses on nutrients that reduce inflammation and support brain and cell health, such as carotenoids, vitamin K, sulfur-retinol, and fermented foods. There are 3 levels of the Wahls diet. The levels are meant to build on each other, making the diet more manageable. According to Dr. Wahls, the higher the level of the diet that you follow, the greater benefit that you will see. Health benefits. The Wahls protocol has a large and enthusiastic following. Now, how many people that you know that got MS or might be suffering from these things, how have the diet been changed? Because I know so many people, they be like, no, Sheik, and I be like, I know. Health benefits. The Wahls protocol has a large, enthusiastic following. Many people report health benefits from being on the diet. It is especially popular in the MS community, which is the multiple sclerosis community. Currently, there is limited research on Wahls protocol, although a major study is presently underway. One small study found that people with MS who switched to a Wahls-style diet for a year were much less tired. However, they also received a number of other therapies, including exercise, stretching, meditation, massage, electronic stimulation therapy, making it difficult to draw specific conclusions about the diet. That's why I say all that. It takes all that. But all those natural things you should do. Other research has shown elimination diets improve symptoms and inflammation in patients with autoimmune disease, like irritable bowel disease, acronym IBD, rheumatoid arthritis, acronym RA. Another study demonstrated that a paleo elimination diet was effective as part of a multidisciplinary approach to threatening the autoimmune disease Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Despite the clear link between dietary patterns and the progression of autoimmune disease, there is a lack of research on that specific topic. But how to start? You know, I always like to give a little examples. It consists of eating lots of meat, fish. This is this diet. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just breaking down different ones. You do what's good for you. But also when you eating fish, meats, I hope you know where you're getting it from. Always try to find places where they kill the animals kosherly. And you can find them. They're there. They're in all cities. But the wall, it consists of eating lots of meat and fish with an emphasis on organ meats like liver and kidneys. It encourages large servings of vegetables, especially dark leafy vegetables like kale, and sulfur-containing vegetables like cabbage. Initially, brightly colored fruit like berries are also consumed in high quantities. Fat from both animal and plant sources is an important part of this diet, with an emphasis on omega-3 fatty acids. It also includes seaweed, nutritional yeast, and fermented foods. I got you. The diet prohibits eating processed foods, dairy, sugar, sweeteners. When I see people drinking coffee and they put that fake sweetener in it, you might as well put sugar in it. That sweetener is trash. Including, I say put some sugar, some honey and some cinnamon in it. That is better. Including natural sweeteners like honey, grain, including wheat, rice, and oatmeal. But you don't have to eat oatmeal because, once again, oatmeal ain't nothing either. But that's a whole nother study. Legumes, beans, and lentils. I like lentils and beans. And many nightshade vegetables. So level 1 of it, eliminate all gluten and dairy and focus on consuming 9 cups of fruits and vegetables each day. That's a level. Level 2, eliminate all grains and limit potatoes and beans to 2 servings a week. You will incorporate seaweed and fermented foods. Level 3, this level is a ketogenic diet with intermediate fasting. It eliminates potatoes, beans, legumes, and limits fruit to 1 serving, preferably berries. It incorporates coconut milk and limits meals to twice daily with a long fast. The Wall Protocol has become a popular diet for people suffering from multiple sclerosis. There are countless reports of health benefits and symptom relief. And so I just give things for encouragement for people to study, not to tell nobody what to do. You know? That's what I'm here for, a source of information. And to get our bodies right, to get our mind right, to get our mental right. And to sit down and have a discussion, because a lot of things that we've been taught, a lot of things that these older people have been saying, we can't allow them to do that anymore. A lot of stuff is just not true, and I don't ever want to curse a rich man. There's no reason if the heart pure. And I don't bless a poor man because he's poor. It's a reason for both. But when we doing things and we say we for the people, and when it's money being collected, then everything should be done for the people, not for me to wear no designer. It should be for us to continue to create our own. It's not for me to wear no designer or live in nothing lavish. It's for us to build an infrastructure. It's for us to have a place where the kids can go, where the singers can go. We can educate our brothers and sisters. We can have our own library. We can have our own skill center. We can have our own young debate clubs, our own chess clubs. We can have our own infrastructure. And so I give everyone gratitude for taking time listening to me, a little bit of our health and wellness. But if you like the teachings, man, gratitude to you. Please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube channel. It's Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. And we have scheduled teachings every week. We also have a couple different platforms where we offer items and books. You can check those out. But once again, brothers and sisters, our health is our wealth. And we have to start taking it a little bit more serious than maybe what we have in the previous times. So the body is made to replenish itself. The body is made to heal itself. And we right here in your face, man. So join us. We love everyone. Gratitude and love.